Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Monday morning, October 18th, 2021. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, around 8 o'clock Central or a minute or so before. The purpose of our time together is to talk about tips, strategies, success stories, techniques, and to support you. Today, we're going to talk about the topic of financial literacy. Financial literacy is relevant for a couple reasons. One of which it's part of our core mission is to improve financial literacy of entrepreneurs. I think you and I would agree that in our society, our educational system is more oriented towards teaching people how to get a job than to create jobs. And so an important part of what you and I do is improve financial literacy in these important areas, because if you're active at all as an affiliate or white label partner, you'll see that there's just a lot of financial illiteracy out there. And that's okay. That's our opportunity to help. So that's one of the reasons that we're talking about this today, and one of the reasons that we conduct financial literacy. The second of which is it's a great way to fill your sales funnel. So if your goal is to help people and generate income, most likely through the Access to Capital program, which has no upfront cost, guaranteed $100,000 capital raise, no minimum credit score, no minimum time in business to enroll, then you're probably always thinking about how can I help more people. Our white label partners typically shoot for a goal of helping one client a day per month, on average 30 a month. We know the minimum that we've all agreed to work together on is 8 a month, but the normal goal that we're all shooting for is 1 a day, 30 a month. Well, where do these 30 people come from? I think the analogy could be quite as simple as if you've ever been into a corner bakery or a Einstein bagel or Panera bakery, and you walk in and behind the register, there's just all these wonderful baked goods. And that's kind of the scenario that you and I are in, is that no one should go hungry because there's an infinite amount of baked goods available. No small business should be going without capital. And certainly none of you should go without generating an adult income, because there's just a plethora of opportunities. So again, more relevant to the point, how do we go about finding small businesses to help? There's different ways, but as it dovetails in today's topic, there's a great opportunity to teach. And by teaching, you, of course, inform and educate, but you also create relevance, create a relationship, create credibility. And I think you'll find a very high conversion ratio of those that you teach will become a client, an Access to Capital client. And it's really a logical continuum. So we'll get to that in a moment. So on the shared screen, we have 2 pages. On the left, we have the financial literacy educator position description. This has not been updated. I guess it was circulated first back in August, according to the date posted there. We'll go through that briefly, but most importantly today, we're going to go through the new and updated press release, which you'll see on the right-hand side. So with the press release, with the position description, you'll see that we are looking for more financial literacy educators. So our financial literacy educators may come from our affiliate pool or a white label partner pool. You do not have to be a white label partner to be a financial literacy educator. This is a group of us who are committed, motivated, and educated to go out and teach. We can teach in person. We can teach online. We'll get to that in a moment, but it's through education. So the category is that of economic development. We're looking for educators nationwide. Now, in our model, what we're looking to do is to have one lead educator in each county per state. Now, of course, in Louisiana, we have parishes, but ignoring those exceptions or those details, And that's so we can have a systematic effort. So when we're reaching out to hosts, because what you'll see, the key in being a successful educator is not going and renting rooms. It is not spending your money to market to put butts in the seats. It's not either of those. Instead, it's working with hosts. So I can tell you from my experience and from others, going to churches, going to libraries, going to chambers of commerce, going to business organizations and associations and other key influencers is amazingly successful. So it's like hooking your hose to a running faucet. Well, we don't want 5 people going to the same chamber asking to set up a workshop. We don't 5 people going to the local church trying to set up an event for their congregation. So that's why we're setting up geographic, screen stall there. That's why we're setting up geographic parameters. 1 financial literacy educator per county and per state. So I'm not sure why the screen locked up there, but I think we're still rolling. So let's keep going. As far as a position description, position type, it's very flexible, can be full-time, there we go, can be full-time or part-time. There is no prior experience with a great train-the-trainer. There's leadership roles available. Of course, many of these folks will not want to just learn the material, but they'll want to apply it. So the revenue to you can come from teaching it, plus also implementing. There's no cost to be a financial literacy educator. We do have a train-the-trainer program that you would need to go through. Now, if you just want to go out and teach in general using your own material, not using our model, then that's what you do. But if you're wanting to use our material, we need to have consistency. It's kind of like if theoretically, if you go to a McDonald's in Pittsburgh or you go to a McDonald's in Denver, you should be getting about the same product and the same experience. Well, that's what we need to have, because we're putting together this team of educators to go after some statewide, some regional, some national organizations. And to accomplish that, we need to have consistency. All right, so I won't burden you with the rest of the details here, but I sent this out to everyone. Our focus today, though, is on the press release. So let's go ahead and get to that. So this press release will be made available to you in an editable format. So typically you're going to edit this with your information and make it relevant to your local market, because you're going to be assigned, well, you're going to select and have exclusivity for a specific county and state. And so with that being said, what we find is you'll have the greatest receptiveness of hosts, because who do we, if you want to use the word market, who do we market to? Do we market to individuals to go through the workshop? No, we market to hosts. We develop relationships with hosts, and then they push it out to their sphere of influence. So the more geographic specific and relevant that it is, the better receptiveness you'll have. So this is our template, but of course you take off our logo, you take off our phone number, you take off our email. This could be replaced either with no logo or with your information. So we'll try to scroll down here as the computer works with us, maybe not. Okay, so the tagline here or topic of the press release is new financial literacy campaign to assist entrepreneurs access capital. Certainly you may want to edit this to include your geographic area. So for example, we're in Wood County, Texas. To make this even more powerful, it would say new financial literacy campaign to assist Wood County entrepreneurs access capital. The more that you can tailor your press release to your geographic area, the more relevant it's going to seem to the reader. And our goal here, we'll call it back up, that the reader of this should in fact be the prospective hosts. All right, so then of course you would change out your city and state to be specific to you and update the date. You don't want to have to keep updating the date every time you share it with someone. But when you start your campaign, we'll get you set up as a financial literacy educator. And then once you start your campaign, that's the date, and it would remain. You wouldn't edit it each time. And again, you would change from your organization, from our organization to yours, so it's relevant to your community. But regardless, we are working together to do several things. We want to narrow the racial wealth gap by teaching financial literacy, improving credit, and facilitating the development of minority-owned small businesses. And the portion of this that we're working on at this point of the conversation is financial literacy. I've gone through what this curriculum includes before, and we'll get you the full curriculum, but it's built around a concept called the Business Credit and Financing Workshop. So we have a really, really strong manual that each person receives. It's over 50 pages long, and that's typically what we teach off of, and that's what they're able to take away. What I found to be really successful, and I think you will too, is when you're talking to prospective hosts about setting up a workshop, you'll share with them one of these manuals. You'll give them one. And we don't sell the manuals. We provide it to you in PDF, and you can edit it with your contact information. But the point is, the manual is really good. It's power packed, and we've talked about that in detail before. But continuing on with the press release, the practical and relevant business credit and financing workshop is instructor-led and applicable to aspiring and existing entrepreneurs. So it's relevant if they're just thinking about starting a business or if they have started one, but so the entire continuum. And we often see business owners that have owned businesses for 3 or 5 years that are still lacking the financial literacy that would benefit them in raising capital. What you and I know is that there's almost 2 groups of entrepreneurs, and one's not better than the other. I'm just trying to clarify with you. You have some that are willing to learn, willing to stop and come to this workshop if the workshop were available in their area. And again, we prefer to teach it in person, but it can be online. But you have those that are interested in improving their financial literacy. And that's not what's going through their mind. They're saying, yeah, I could use more information to help solve my problem, to get money to start or grow a business. But there's also this other group that say, heck no, I have no interest in going to a workshop. I'm too busy. I'm too successful. I just want access to capital. So I don't want you to think that this is a one size fits all. You will have some individuals who are willing to come to the workshop. Others are just interested in the results, and they'll go right to your access to capital program. And that's fine. It's not a requirement that someone go to the workshop before they enroll in access to capital, of course, but I will tell you that almost everyone that attends a workshop will likely sign up for access to capital, which we'll get to more as we progress through. As access to capital is crucial to start or grow a business, this subject matter is extraordinarily valuable in building healthy and successful small businesses that create jobs, increase the tax base, and empowers individuals to reach their potential. So while this is a true sentence, a true statement, I think what you'll find is that resonates really nicely with your hosts that are interested in a greater good. Now, we'll talk about how we can revenue share with the host here in a minute to provide them some direct economic incentive, but this is more of a general feel-good statement. But it's true, right? When we help people start businesses, that helps us at the family level because they have more income coming in. It helps us at a community level, helps create many benefits. In terms of the structure of the workshop, and we talked about this in the prior workshop training where we went through the curriculum, this can be set up either as a 1-hour event, a half-day event. The truth is, with that curriculum, it could be as little as an hour, and I would call that an overview because I don't think we can get too deep in an hour. or it could be a couple hours, it could be a half day as referenced here. You could even go a full day, but my experience, especially when I work for the SBA, doing full day workshops for entrepreneurs, you better be delivering a lot of value for them to take that much time away from their business. So when I've taught this as a full day workshop, I morphed it where we did the education, but we also built their business plan. We built their financial projections, and we've commonly referred to that as the small business certification. So they sit down together in an 8-hour period. We have their loan package completed by the time they walk out the door. We even set up their key person policies and everything. So my point is, I think 90 minutes is probably the sweet spot. However, and you'll always ask the host. The host is going to have the best understanding of how long and even what time of the day suits their people the best. But generally, if you're doing it over lunch, I'd feed them, and you can build that into the budget, so it's not coming out of your pocket. But if you do it over lunch, you feed them. I'd keep it at about an hour. And if I did it in the evening or on Saturday mornings, which is where I had the most success, I would make it 90 minutes. But regardless, it's flexible in length of time. And as we mentioned, it can be taught online or in person. I think it's really important, and I know we're going through the whole pandemic issue, and it continues much longer than we expected, but really what we're looking for our financial literacy educators is to teach actively in person. If you want to supplement that with online, that's great. That's great. And online, you can help people from anywhere across the country or the world, I guess. In person, you're obviously only having events in your county because you have exclusivity. No one else can come into your county to teach. So if you're not teaching in your county, then no one's teaching. And if you were to just do a quick review of how many chambers, how many churches, how many apartment complexes, how many business organizations and associations are in your county, even in more rural areas, there's tremendous opportunity. I've told you this before, and it's probably redundant, so I apologize, but the largest group I've ever taught to was at the Hopkins County, Texas, Hopkins County Chamber of Commerce. We had so many people, we had to reserve a big room at the country club. Now, Hopkins County is small. We'd have to look it up, and I forget, but it probably has less than 20,000 people in the whole county. And the county's so small, the chambers for the whole county, the individual cities don't even have their own or towns. But we had over 110 people attend that workshop. There's a great demand for financial literacy and trying to help entrepreneurs access capital. And how did I get so many people in the room? Was it because of me? No, it wasn't because of me. It was because of my host. Actually, I had two hosts. I had the Chamber of Commerce, and then I had the Regional Economic Development Authority. Those two worked together. I didn't spend any time. I helped them with some content for the promotion, but they did all the promotion. They did all the registration. They charged everyone to attend. They set up the room. They set up the food buffet, and it was a great event. So hosts are powerful. In terms of what we cover, and I'm assuming that you all are familiar with the workbook, but if not, we can always go back to it. But we address building business credibility, and that's important. You know, if you want to access capital under your EIN, the business needs to be credible. What does that mean? How do you build the business credibility? How does the business owner build his or her credibility? How do we actually build business credit like Dun & Bradstreet? What are different types of financing that's available, and much more? And as I mentioned, we have over a 50-page manual. That's what we actually use during the course of the workshop. And obviously everyone leaves with that. For those of you that came in for our last in-person training, we actually went through it. Each of you have the manual. So after the workshop, the assigned mentor, what we're talking about here is we don't want to just stop with the education. We want to pivot from the education to implementation. And so then what we want to do is work with each individual to implement what they've learned. So then they can enroll in the Access to Capital program if they would like. And then what are we doing? We're building the business plan. We're putting together 36-month detailed financial projections. And we want to build their personal financial statement. We need to build interim financial statements like balance sheets and income statements. So this is not redundant. So this is called the PFS, which is about the owner. And then the financial statements are about the business. Put together their financial needs analysis. Many of you are licensed insurance agents, so you're going to actually be setting up their key person policy, helping set up their collateral. So there's just tremendous value. So this is the next step. This is not done unless you're teaching it full day, let me caveat, which is not going to be the norm. This is normally going to be one-on-one work with each individual. I say, well, how does that make sense economically? It makes all the sense in the world. If you're teaching this workshop, you can decide if you want to teach it for free or charge. You can decide if you want to share revenue with the host or not. But typically, it's a $99 registration fee. If you do that, and let's just say you have a small class of 20 people. So you're at $2,000 of income for teaching. We'll just say a half-day class. Most likely it's going to be 90 minutes. So it is not get rich quick, but it's not a bad side gig. But you would anticipate, as long as you've done a good job, most of those people will then move on to the Access to Capital. And so then, of course, now you should be generating over $10,000 per client that goes through the Access to Capital. So let's just say 90% of the 20, which would be 18, move on. Now you've got your group of people to work with for the entire month. You've got over 6 digits of income that should be coming from that group while helping them, of course. So there's different ways to generate leads. Financial literacy and teaching is just one of those. But if you were to teach one course a month, it should fill your funnel enough so you're on track for a 6-digit month. I know some of you want to make a lot more than that, but if we just try to be reasonable, what can we do to generate $100,000 a month of gross income? Teach one workshop, you should have enough spill off from that into the Access to Capital to work with. And so this is redundant to you, but just to the reader, because again, who are we sharing this modified press release with? Prospective hosts, because hosts are the key to setting up these workshops. So some of this is we're reiterating to them the value proposition. And so this is just reminding them that we have a grant subsidized program. Workshop participants have access to a guaranteed minimum of $100,000 to start or grow a business, regardless of personal credit or time in business. So then we really get to the call to action, because the reader of this, we want to be prospective hosts, decision makers at churches, chambers, business organizations, co-working spaces, and so forth. So we have a goal, and of course you'd put in your information here instead of ours, but we have a goal of developing collaborative relationships. Well, here it is: churches, chambers, associations, organizations, co-working spaces, etc., to economically empower their sphere of influence by holding financial literacy workshops. And then we clarify that the workshops can be free or at a fee. And again, the key here I want you to take away from it is hosts are crucial to successful workshops. Now, some of you have a wide enough sphere of influence that you can do these without having a host. I'm fine with that. But for most of us, we're going to want to have hosts. Well, hosts know their sphere of influence. So they're going to be able to tell you, are they going to be receptive to in-person? Are they better for online? Is it better to do it during the day or evening or weekend? Do they want to charge or not charge? So and we'll work with you through this process. But the key is allowing the host to dictate how it should be set up, because they know better than you or I, frankly, because they know their people and from what they've done before. Now, I will tell you that you could approach a host that has no experience holding events, and it's still fine, but it typically won't be as successful as an experienced host. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say you go to a pastor of a church, And if they've not had any type of, maybe they've done Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, or they have some sort of small business or entrepreneurship fellowship, if they have some sort of momentum going on that you're now bringing valuable content to, it's like plugging in, and it tends to roll smoother. Alternatively, if you go to a prospective host that really doesn't have experience or competency, can we still set up a workshop with them? Absolutely, but it's going to be a little bit more like pushing a rope because they don't have the experience in doing it. But it's fine either way, just trying to clarify. And then, of course, at the bottom of the press release, you would change this to be contacting you. So my goal today is twofold. I want to bring more attention for your awareness that teaching financial literacy, it's part of our mission. It's fun, it's rewarding, and it may very well be an important arrow in your quiver of generating leads for access to capital. Secondly, we have made some tweaks to this press release. I sent it out to everyone, and we're discussing it now. If you're one of our financial literacy educators, then we will get you an editable version, because you're going to want to change this to your information, not to us. When we use it, we use this. You're going to want to use a variance of this customized to you. Herman's asking cost. Yeah, so we do not charge for people to become financial literacy educators. There's no charge for that, and you can be a white label partner or an affiliate. You need to be one or the other, because if you're not one or the other, then you're missing the back end opportunity to take people from education into implementation. With that being said, though, we do need to take you through a train the trainer curriculum, because we need consistency in what we're teaching, because a lot of times we're working with statewide, regional, or even national organizations. And so we might give you a call, Herman, and say, hey, Herman, we need you to set up a workshop for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We're setting them up across the country. They've asked for one in your county. And can you do that? We've got a room set up for you. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, or whatever organization that is national, regional, or state, wants consistency in what Herman is teaching in his area versus what April, Ahmad, Bruce, Devin, Georges, Joseph, so forth are teaching in other areas. So the train the trainer has a small fee, but it's not a big deal. But that is just to get you up to speed to be able to teach the same curriculum in a similar manner, so there's consistency. Again, if you don't want to be a financial literacy educator, that's fine. We're not here to try to recruit you. You can go teach your own way, but if you want to plug into our system, then we need to have consistency. Okay, so who has questions regarding the updated press release or the financial literacy educator role? We do have on the IIMFL website, there's more information. So frankly, we have a lot of other topics that we can teach on. We have the PowerPoints, we have the instructor guides, the participant guides, for 3 different demographics: for youth, for adults, and for small business owners. And so our financial literacy educators are supported and assisted with that entire continuum. But I'd recommend starting with this. And so if you're interested, and thank you, Pete, for asking, you're just going to go to the iimfl.org website, click on the financial literacy tab, and this will give you more information at the bottom of the page. You can let us know if you'd like to be one of our financial literacy educators. So we're going to have one financial literacy educator per county, per state. And so, for example, Pierre says, this is great. Thank you, Pierre. Herman asked, like in Texas, I think has 200 and some counties. I know whoever gets Harris County, Texas, it's an enviable position. That's where Houston is, millions and millions of people. I also know that there's some counties that are remote and very sparsely populated. So you can pick the county that you want to be assigned to that's exclusive to you. It can be where you live or where you work or otherwise. We have a couple of you that have selected counties in other states just because there's so much, Cook County, right? Illinois, where Chicago is. What a huge opportunity. Los Angeles County, California. And so you can certainly have educators that are under your wings, so you can multiply yourself. In other words, you control the area, you're the lead financial literacy educator, and you can manage and supervise and have others that are teaching. Because I'll tell you, you get into some of these larger areas and one person just couldn't keep up. You could be teaching 30 times a month, which would probably be too much for one person, and still just scraping the surface when you think about all the churches and all the chambers and all the organizations and so forth. Okay, so Pete, let me know if I didn't answer your question, but the next step is to let us know if you're interested in teaching. I didn't mean to cross through that here on the page. So we covered that for Pete. And Herman, yeah, just let us know where you're interested in teaching, and we can make sure that your county is available. It's a first come, first serve. So if we have multiple people that want to teach in Orange County, California, the first one will be the designated educator, and then the others can either pick a different county or work under the market leader. And Pete asked about the host, so let's pull that up. And there should have been an opportunity on that form. We'll see if it'll pull up here, Pete. So the host obviously is not what you're doing. What we're doing is looking for educators in this discussion, but I will check that form and make sure that it allows for prospective educators. So I'll do that in just a second. Who else has any questions, comments, or concerns about how this fits in, why it's relevant? Any questions that I can help with? Pierre asked a really good question. So Pierre saying, okay, if he is managing the financial literacy of a given county, so in other words, he's assigned to a given county, then no one else can come in and teach in that county at host or otherwise. Now, again, online, there's no controls, right? Because there are no boundaries of who can log on to a Zoom. But with that being said, if you're going to bring in others, then they would be under your leadership, and you could decide how to pay them if you wanted to revenue share with them. As I mentioned, in many cases, what we'll see is that the workshops you'll charge anywhere from $59 to $99 for people to attend. You may or may not want to revenue share with the host, but if you're going to pay someone else to go out and teach it, or some of you are just paying other people to go out and reach out to host and just generate the events, you can outsource either aspect of that. But if you're going to be managing the area, the revenue is going to flow through you, and then you can decide how you want to revenue share. What I'll tell you, for the typical person, and I used to teach GED for a local school district as a after work gig. And so with that, I mean, they only paid me $25 an hour. That was it. And so normally, I think I was paid 4 hours. I would teach for 3 hours, but they knew that you needed to get there a little bit early to get set up and then to break down. And so you might pay someone $100 to go teach. Well, so any revenue above that $100 is your profit. All right, so that answers, I think, Pierre's question. Okay, Zahn's interested in maybe Cook County. That's great. And so I will make sure that this page link allows for submissions of potential educators as well as hosts. And so that is where you would go to let us know if you're interested, or you can just email me. All right. Well, thanks everyone. We'll make sure that that we get back with you in a timely fashion, but our goal right now is to determine who are interested in becoming the educators, get them through the train the trainer, which is done. We used to teach it in person, now it's taught online, and start teaching, start helping people and generating income for you. Thanks everyone. Have a good day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
It says 9 to